one police department's mission to change their approach to interactions with the mentally ill. Many of us know someone who struggles with mental illness, but when cops are called into the picture, these encounters can turn deadly. So tonight we're on the streets with two remarkable police officers using new tactics to save lives. A mother's call for help gone terribly wrong.
Dallas wanted to make where's emergency.
Yeah, my son needs to be taken to Parker. He's bipolar schizophrenia. Make sure they train police officers.
Okay.
This body cam video shows two Dallas police officers responding to a 911 call about a bipolar schizophrenic man off his meds. We have to warn you, what happens next is hard to watch.
Bipolar schizo.
38-year-old Jason Harrison comes to the door. Notice the screwdriver in his hand.
Drop that for me, guy.
Jay!
Drop it!
Jay!
Drop it!
Jay!
Drop it!
Shots fired. Cover code 3.
8 seconds after he came to the door, Harrison lay dying in his mother's driveway.
Jesus Christ.
Shot 5 times, twice in the back.
I didn't call for them to take him to the morgue. I called for medical help.
The officers insist they had no other choice. They fired in self-defense.
They could have tasered him or something. They didn't have to come out straight with the deadly force.
A grand jury declined to indict. The Harrison family is now suing the officers and the city of Dallas, who have sought to dismiss the lawsuit, arguing use of force was reasonable under the circumstances.
The training that these guys are lacking is what needs to be changed.
Jason Harrison's name has now become one among many others. Names like Laval Hall, Dontre Hamilton, and James Boyd, Americans described by their families as mentally ill, who've ended up on the wrong side of an officer's gun, in what many, even inside law enforcement, are calling a crisis in American policing.
And what I can't stress enough, and I truly feel in my heart, is that this is the future of policing.
Just hours from where Jason Harrison was killed, a specialized team is working to revolutionize policing from within. They're San Antonio's mental health unit.
She's calling in stating that she has depression and that she's feeling suicidal.
Meet Patrolman Joe Smaro and Ernie Stevens. They're tasked with responding to calls involving emotionally disturbed persons anywhere in the city.
Hi, my name's Ernie. You call the police?
But I promise you that I'm not like any police officer that you've probably ever met.
Today, it's a young woman who called 911 contemplating suicide.
Have you ever attempted suicide in the past?
No.
No.
I don't even know how I would do it.
Okay, so you don't have a plan right now?
No.
These officers are experts in what's called crisis intervention training.
Would you say that you really don't want to die, but you want the pain to stop? Would that be okay? Okay.
I don't want to leave my kid.
And you're willing to get some help today?
Yeah.
This woman agrees to get help.
We'll go in there together. You'll ride with us. We're in an unmarked car.
It's all part of a pioneering program where the mentally ill are diverted out of jails and into treatment.
How is your approach different from the average cop, if you will?
It's actually the complete opposite. We're in plain clothes. We have an unmarked car. You know, we walk in, it's not, hey, I'm Officer Smaro, this is Officer Stevens. It's, how you doing, Byron? My name is Joe. This is Ernie. We're just here to help you.
Only 15 to 20% of law enforcement agencies in the country have crisis intervention training programs.
Suicidal, okay. Do you know if she's taken any, an overdose or anything?
Ernie Stevens says he helped start the one here in San Antonio.
That was the call I hated most, was when you heard that dispatcher call in and say there's an individual at this house that has schizophrenia, that's hearing voices, he's talking about suicide.
All that changed, Officer Stevens says, after he reluctantly attended a week-long crisis intervention training class and met a woman with a schizophrenic son.
She said, one day, one of you officers will have to come to my house and you might have to shoot and kill my son. And I want you to know that that's okay because I want you to go home safe to your family. And it was at that moment that we made a pact that we were going to go and ask the chief if we could start a mental health unit to help family members just like her.
Watch as they watch that Jason Harrison video. Their facial expressions say as much as their words.
You know, talking to family members here in San Antonio, this is their biggest fear of calling the police. That's why the training is so important.
According to a survey by the Police Executive Research Forum, new recruits typically spend 60 hours learning to handle a gun, compared to 8 hours learning strategies for handling the mentally ill.
Look at our police academies. How close do they mimic military boot camps? The only difference a lot of the times is you get to go home at the end of the day, but there's still that in your face, that high intensity yelling, training. That's great. But then when you graduate, you go to the streets of my 18-year-old daughter is wanting to kill herself. All of a sudden, we got to calm down.
For Joe, this work is personal. As a Marine Corps veteran, he's battled PTSD. Very personal question. You ever consider suicide?
I have, absolutely. And more than once, to be honest with you. And so, you know, that's another thing where, you know, I don't shy away from the tough questions, Byron, because again, I hope that it'll help somebody.
So when you go on these calls, you sometimes see yourself?
A lot of the times I see myself. And that's what allows me to do what I feel like is a good job.
This new approach may be saving lives, and it's certainly saving money for the city of San Antonio, around $50 million in the past 5 years.
Do you feel that she's suicidal?
Their specialized training is put to the test almost daily.
A complainant is calling in asking for a welfare check on his estranged wife. She's a veteran, wounded warrior, and she called him this morning and was crying and told him that she was in a lot of pain. He's unable to get a hold of her for the past hour. He's at her house. He's banging on the door, no answer.
They raced to the scene. We could sense their heart rates rising.
So police, are you okay?
That's the victim's estranged husband who called 911.
Is she breathing?
All they can do now is pace and pray. Ernie and Joe arrived in time.
They had to kick the door in to get inside. They found the woman unconscious.
Maintenance guy, can you coordinate EMS to get him up here? I mean, she's unconscious. She's taking a lot of pills. We found her face down in her bathroom with a lot of pills, empty pill bottles, at least 7. We tried to do what we could until EMS got here. We do have a faint pulse.
My heart's broken for her. Sad for the family, sad for the husband. You just wish you could do more.
You can see the emotional toll this takes on the officers, and they do this every day. I was struck by how you guys kicked the door in, having no idea what you might find inside.
Certain officers are going to see us as foolish, because like you said, Byron, we don't know what's on the other side of that door. You're right. Every possible call that police officers get dispatched to has the potential to turn violent. And like I've said, our mindset is always ready to go there if needed.
The woman survived. Ernie and Joe likely saved her life.
I saw 2 cops go in. I saw 2 human beings come out.
Reaction is that, Byron, because of how you see it affect us. There's no way you can do this day in and day out and not have a human approach to this or respond with emotion. I don't think it's possible.
Our thanks to the San Antonio Police Department.